I tell you, this thing is crazy. The phone just be cutting off on me, but I'm back on. But yeah, the scripture also says that he will give you a seed of righteousness. As he's going to give you a seed, he's going to give you the power to regenerate. The power to regenerate. But what does that mean? That he's going to give you the seed that unfolds into righteousness, into glorification. What does that mean? That means that he's going to unfold eternity from the inside out. So you don't have to worry about being mastered by time, because you serve the master of time. He's going to accelerate you. He's going to accelerate. The scripture says that he is the redeemer of the time. So he can redeem time that you lost. So while the enemy and while the flesh fears time and fears the time that they have, he's given us shalom. He's given us peace, because he knows that he can redeem the time for his name's sake. He can redeem the time for his name's sake. So one last thing I want to talk about with this, and that is how prophecy, I'm going back to how prophecy is connected to this. So God gives you a word for somebody, right? And you're looking at them and you're saying, I don't see them operating in nothing close to that, to where they are worthy of deserving this word or receiving this word. They seem like they're the exact opposite of that, right? But when he gives you the word, the only thing that you're doing is you're activating something that is folded inside of them. And so the word begins to unfold what is folded. Well, I gotta back this up a little bit so I can help you understand. When God creates things, even when he created the universe, he created from a seed, and that seed exploded. They call it the Big Bang, but it was from a single unit of power that exploded, and is still expanding this day. And everything that we're in, and all the galaxies and universes and multiverses, are all expanding from that single unit of power that exploded. So it's unfolding and continually expanding. When you look at the seeds in the earth, plants, vegetation, they begin with a seed, and then everything that's in that seed begins to break out of that seed and unfolds. And so with prophecy, when you're dealing with people, you're dealing with people who have all kinds of seeds of potential, potent seeds inside of them that have not been broken open. You're not producing or creating something that's not there in those people. But what you're doing is you're activating the dormant seeds. And what you're doing is you're activating the time that is connected to their purpose. And I wish I could break this down better. I wish I had a chart so that you could actually see what I'm talking about. But every purpose has a time inside of it, a timetable, a schedule inside of it. The scripture says that Christ couldn't even come on the earth until it was the fullness of time. So there was a time, and if you look up time in Hebrew, it means appointment. It means meeting. So there was a fullness of time. There's an appointed time for you to be born, and then there's a time for you to die. There's a time for warfare, and there's a time of peace. It's a time to mourn, and there's a time to rejoice. So every purpose under heaven has a time schedule connected to it. There's nothing new under the sun. But what does happen prophetically is you can activate a person's purpose by starting the time clock inside of the purpose. That is a seed laying dormant in them that has not yet been activated. So as a prophetic person, you don't have to worry about, do I see it in them? All you have to do is do and say what God said, and you're going to activate it and start the time clock and break open the seed so that acceleration will begin. This is how Christ could come on the scene. And deal with people who have been fishermen, businessmen, dealing with stuff, who are not preachers, who are not Pharisees or Sadducees or scribes or anything like that. He could do that, and then in 3.5 years, he can transform those people to apostles, disciples, witnesses, world changers, people who would change the whole world. How could Christ do that? Because he was the Lord. Yes, but what he was doing is he was activating heaven's principles in that those seeds were dormant inside of them already. And he came to give them identity. He came to reveal their purpose, and he accelerated their knowledge beyond the Pharisees, beyond the Sadducees. He accelerated their school of learning. He gave them an intense training program. Now, I'm about to leave, but I just want to bring out this last piece because I think it's very important for you to see. He gave them as a prophetic person and as someone who's responsible for activating the prophetic in people. We need to make sure that in our training that the training is intense. Because the training needs to be the training that would break open a seed. See, lecturing is not really conducive for transformative learning. Lecturing, and even me talking now, is exposure. It just exposes you. It gives you access to knowledge. It lets me arrange words in such a way that you may not have heard them arranged in that way. It may make you curious to study something. It may provoke a thought. It may plant a seed. But there's a difference between planting the seed and breaking open the seed. And breaking open the seed requires intense training. It requires putting stress on the situation. It requires putting pressure on it so that the person no longer relies on what they already know. It no longer relies on their own experiences and what I've already been taught about this. You know, we see people in church. That's why you see people in church all their life, and a lot of them don't grow because they're used to being lectured. And what's really happening is they're just becoming hearers, and they're becoming more and more familiar with Bible stories, with teachings, with preachings, and they can say the cliches with the pastor, and y'all don't hear me, and watch this, and whatever we say in our filler words, and they learn how to mimic what we say. They learn how to get excited about the message. But transformative power comes when we have the time, the pressure cooker, and we put them in a time and place where there is pressure, where there is intensity. That's what's going to break open the seed. That's what's going to break open the seed, because when we're put in intense pressure, the heart, the mind, the brain, the spirit all works together to try to break out of that situation. And that's where solutions come out. That's where strategies come out. That's where the problem fixing spirit comes out. Right? So intensity. We want to make things easy. And teaching should be easy. It shouldn't be confusing. But training should be difficult. Training should be difficult. You don't want to make it easy. You know, at times, sometimes, and I'm about to break out, but sometimes I'll when I'm teaching, I'll ask a question in Bible study or whatever, and I have my whole lesson plan, and I want to teach that thing so bad. But then I realize there's a fundamental thing that people are not confident about that I believe they should know. So I'll stop right there and begin to start digging into that question. And I won't move from there till I get an answer and participation from the people. And for some people that might feel, it might not feel good, or it feels like, just give us the answer. You know what I'm saying? You say, thank you. For what, Queen? Oh, just teaching? I don't know what up. Well, you're welcome anyway. I guess you'll break it down to me later. But yeah, so I'll stop right there. I'll stop right there and wait for an answer to be generated from their spirit, from their mind. No reason on glossing over what they don't know just so I can get to the place to where I want to teach something because I want to let this thing be put out there in the atmosphere. I might as well stop where I'm at and go ahead, and even though it's difficult, maybe the answer is not coming to them easily, let me go ahead and stay there until the answer breaks out of the seed. Because the answer is already within the people of God, but they don't know it because they're not familiar with it, because it's still hidden, it's still dormant. And we gloss over things at times, and we just need to stay there and work it until there is activity. So anyway, what's the takeaway from this? The Lord Yahweh is the master of time, and he has given us the ability to receive powers that are connected to time, even if it's time that is in a future age, if it is necessary for us to complete our assignment. So whether we're Noah, whether we are David, whether we are Samson, you know, if we are whoever we are, Paul, no matter what the role is, if it's necessary for us to bring about the advancement of his kingdom, we will have access because we have his spirit, which is eternal, which is the master of time. So don't tell people you don't have the time. You might as well be better off as being honest and say, no, I don't want to do that. Hey, that's not my priority. You can say that. But it's not that you don't have the time, because if it is your purpose, then you will be able to also manipulate time and experience time differently in order to bring it down. If you need time to slow down, you can slow down time in eternity. When you are in an eternal realm, you can slow it down. If you need it to be sped up, you can speed up time, because you are in eternity. You're an eternal being. You're a light being. So you're traveling at that speed where you can manipulate it in the spirit to get it done. All right, good people. I'm out. I'll talk to you soon. I guess many of you are going to catch it on the replay. With grace and